To really understand why ships have red bottoms, we need to go back several centuries to the era of wooden vessels. In those days, crossing the ocean was slow and dangerous. A wooden ship moving through the water essentially became a massive floating feast for marine organisms. The moment it entered the sea, algae, seaweed, barnacles, and a particularly destructive creature known as the shipworm began to attach themselves to it. Shipworms, despite their name, are actually mollusks that bore through wood, gradually eating away at the hull. This entire process is called biofouling in maritime terms. A few barnacles might seem harmless, but in reality, biofouling caused serious problems. It added significant weight and created heavy drag, slowing ships dramatically. In extreme cases, a badly fouled vessel could lose up to half of its speed and maneuverability. At a time when speed could determine victory in battle or success in trade, keeping a ship's hull clean was absolutely critical. By the late 18th century, shipbuilders came up with an effective solution. They started covering the bottoms of wooden ships with thin sheets of copper. Copper naturally acts as a biocide, meaning it releases substances in seawater that are toxic to marine life. As a result, barnacles struggled to attach and shipworms were unable to damage the wood. This allowed ships to remain faster and more efficient. However, with the arrival of the Industrial Revolution, wooden ships were gradually replaced by iron and steel ones. This created a new problem: copper sheets couldn't be used on metal hulls. When copper and iron are both exposed to salt water, they form a kind of electrochemical reaction that causes the iron to corrode quickly. To solve this, shipbuilders developed anti-fouling paints instead of metal plating. The key ingredient in these paints was copper oxide, which retains the same protective properties. Copper oxide also has a naturally deep reddish color, so the now famous red hull wasn't chosen for appearance. It simply reflected the color of the material doing the job. In modern times, advances in chemistry have made it possible to create anti-fouling coatings in almost any color. In theory, ships could be painted in bright blue, neon green, or even black. Yet red remains the most common choice. Part of the reason is tradition, as maritime culture tends to honor long-standing practices. There's also a practical advantage: the strong contrast between the red lower section and the darker or lighter upper hull creates a clear visual boundary. This makes it easier for crews to see how deeply the ship sits in the water and to monitor the plimsoll line, the markings that indicate whether a vessel is properly loaded or carrying too much weight. So the next time you spot a large ship in a harbour, there's more to that red stripe than meets the eye. It's not just a design feature, it represents a centuries-old solution to a serious problem. Click the video on your screen right now, and I'll explain another everyday mystery you've wondered about your whole life, but never thought to look up.